Hello and welcome to a Believing Heart podcast, a podcast about video games and the like. I'm your host, Mario 8. Find me across the internet, all at Mario 8. I'm on the Twitter, I'm on the Tumblr, I'm on ggapp.io. If you'd like to look at the games I'm playing, I am on Co-Host, which is a new one that I've posted on exactly once now. That's about it. Anyway, how's it going today? It was a really busy news day yesterday, and I watched all of it, and even without yesterday, it was still a fairly heavy news week, so let's just jump right into the news. First, lots of Nintendo news this week, starting with the Direct recap. Pulling from fanbyte.org, written by Imran Khan. I think I pronounced his name poorly last week, so I apologize for that. Nintendo had a Direct, a long-rumored Nintendo Direct. I talked about it a little bit last week, and basically every single one of the rumors about the Direct, other than that a Direct was imminent, was completely wrong. And I love that. It's so funny to me that these analysts that make their living hypothesizing what these video game companies are going to do, specifically with Nintendo oftentimes, they're just wrong so often, and it's really funny. Where is the Switch Pro? Those analysts were completely wrong. Where are the HD ports for Zelda Wind Waker and Twilight Princess? The analysts were wrong for those. That being said, it was a pretty packed Direct. We got a whole lot of stuff, and a lot of it I didn't really care about, but at the very end, we got the new Zelda trailer, and I'll get to that at the end of the recap, but oh boy. Also at the start, I do want to mention it's really funny, presumably because the new Zelda is titled Tears of the Kingdom. That's why it wasn't streamed in the UK, because rip to the Queen, I guess. You can't see the Nintendo Direct live, unless you're watching. I was watching the Waypoint stream of this with Patrick Klepek, and he read in the chat that someone from the UK was watching his stream, even though they would be unable to actually watch Nintendo's stream, and it's silly. Whatever. Let's jump into the Nintendo Direct. So first we got news of the new Fire Emblem game titled Fire Emblem Engage. At this point, I am multiple Fire Emblem games behind. I really loved Awakening when I first played it. It was also my first Fire Emblem game. I loved it. I played it twice through, pretty much 100% each time. Had a great time with it. And then when Fate came out, I was really excited. I have the Nintendo Switch Fate Edition. It's white. It has a nice pattern on it. I really like it, the color of it. And then I played through like one of the 3 missions from Fate, and then I never went back to it because it got a little bit too hard for me. Because turns out I'm bad at these types of games, or at least I was whenever I played it, like 8 years ago, whenever that game came out. And then I never finished that. I also never even bought Three Houses, even though I heard fantastic things about it. I never bought Echoes, even though sitting right down here I have the Echoes amiibo. I probably should have gotten to that too. Either way, I think I like Fire Emblem still, even though I've only played one Fire Emblem. That being said, Fire Emblem Engage looks interesting. They seem to be hearkening back to the legacy. The main character seems to be like a modern reincarnation of Marth, and they're able to summon Marth, and seemingly able to summon multiple people from history. And it's gonna be one of those. Hopefully it's good. I saw some people complaining that it wasn't like, hey, didn't Fire Emblem used to be a fantasy series? And it's just not that anymore, especially not with Engage, but hey, and the protagonist's hair is weird. People have started calling them toothpaste, because their hair is both red and blue and kind of looks like toothpaste, and you know what? I think the character design is fine. I didn't like the main protagonist of Three Houses either, and so past Robin, really, I really haven't cared too much about the protagonist design, so that's not too bad for me. Hopefully it leads to good fan art, and that's all I can say on Fire Emblem Engage. Next, It Takes Two, the multiplayer co-op game that I heard real good things about, heard real bad things about the story, or not bad things, but things that sounded bad to me. and I will also never play because I won't have a co-op partner for it, is coming to Switch. It looks rough. It looks real rough. And I'm going to be saying that a lot. I'm at the point where if I'm going to play one of these types of games, I'm going to play it on my PlayStation 5 or my PC. Really, the Switch is just for the occasional indie title and whatever Nintendo puts out, which, honestly, I'm okay with that. A lot of people like the third-party games, though, so if this is the first time someone with only a Switch gets to play It Takes Two and they're okay with it looking like garbage, then, hey, good for them. Speaking of other things coming to the Switch, Fatal Frame 4 Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, which was a Wii game that I'd never heard about, but apparently never came to the West, is getting ported to the Switch, as well as getting ported to the Xbox, the PS4, and PC. Will it look better on those other consoles? Probably, but they announced it at the Nintendo Direct. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is getting DLC, with a cute robot being introduced to the game, part of Wave 2 releasing in about a month. I never played any of the Xenoblade games. I own Xenoblade 1, I think, for the Wii. I never played it. I never played 2, although I've heard great things about both, and I've also heard great things about 3. Maybe one day I'll have an extra 500 hours to finally jump into them properly. Next, a game I talked about last week or the week before. The new SpongeBob game is coming to Switch. Again, it looks rough. I'll probably get it on the PS5, but it's coming to Switch too. Now, this one was really funny to see. Now, Fitness Boxing is a game that I would be interested in if I liked pop music more, but the Fist of the North Star boxing DLC looks really silly. You're beating up folks while punching as you're playing as the character from Fist of the North Star. Really, the only thing I know about Fist of the North Star is the Omewa Motion Deneru. I think I said that wrong. But the You Are Already Dead thing. I don't know, it's one of those shonen animes. Oof, can't talk today. It's one of those shonen animes, and I'm never gonna watch it, but watching the DLC trailer was really funny. Again, I'm not gonna buy Fitness Boxing, I just don't like the music in the game enough to want to get into working out that way. Albeit I should get a game that I can work out to, it's just not gonna be this one, no matter how funny the concept of punching people to death to work out is. Ubisoft is putting out a game called Oddballers. Now, Imran Khan wrote it as an arena-based party game. It looks like a Gang Beasts kinda. I don't remember this game at all. Speaking of games that are coming to the Switch from other consoles, Tunic, which is a game coming out on the 27th, is also being released on Switch the same day, and I am so excited to finally get around to playing that. That is pretty much the next game I'm going to play. I'm playing a bit of Splatoon in the meantime, but 27th I'm jumping right into Tunic for the PS5, and I'm going to play it there. That being said, it's coming to Switch, so hopefully people who only own Switches play that too. Front Mission 1 Remake, which I think was the Mech Tactics game, is getting released on Switch. Front Mission 2 is also coming out, and they're remaking the third game some point in the future. Now, mechs are cool, and if you're into tactics games, which I theoretically would be if I were good at them and played more of them, it's exciting. It's always good to see these games kind of being pumped back into the populace, even if you have to buy them again for $60 or whatever. Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life, which I think was a one of those farming games, Harvest Moon. I think it's by the Harvest Moon people. That's coming out. There were like 4 different farming games in this Switch though, so woof. Splatoon. There's a new Splatfest coming in just a couple weeks, and I'm going to play it. The 3 teams pitted against each other this time are going to be Gear, Grub, or Fun. And this time, last time I was Team Scissors with my man Big Man. But this time I think I'm gonna be in Grub's camp. I just love me food a lot. And so even though Fry is my least favorite of the trio, I'm definitely a food person, so I'm going to be on Team Grub probably. If I decide not to go with Grub, I'm going to choose Team Fun. But yeah, I'm excited. I love Splatfests. They're fun to do. Alright, Square Enix is back again with another of their HD 2D games. Now, I like the trailers for these HD 2D games. Have I ever played any of the HD 2D games? No. But they look good. They trailer well. And they announced Octopath Traveler 2 is coming out next February. That's pretty soon. It's also coming to PlayStation and Steam, but it's coming to Switch as well, and I think that game, being the way it's the art direction it's designed, is probably going to look alright on Switch if the frame rate is able to hold up. That being said, I never even played the first one, I never played Live Alive Remake, but I like the looks of these games. Maybe they're fun too. Oh, Triangle Strategy is also supposed to be coming out soon, huh? Did it already come out? Oh, Triangle Strategy is coming soon, but that's another HD 2D. Oh, March 4th. Triangle Strategy's already out. That's another one of those HD 2D games. Fae Farm, another farming game. A new The At Rhythm, which is the Final Fantasy rhythm game thing, is coming out. Now, the only thing that really pulls me in is I've only ever played one Final Fantasy VII Remake. And so most of the music in this game is gonna be new to me, and that's kind of not incentivizing for me to buy it, although I've heard real good things about the first few The At Rhythm games. Terrible name. But I am reading here that there's Nier songs in it as DLC, and I like Nier music a lot. I'm probably not going to buy the game, though. It's not worth it just for Final Fantasy VII and Nier music. Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope is coming out. Rayman's going to be in that. That was announced earlier. I bought the first one and I never got around to playing it, and so I'll probably hold off a bit longer on buying the second one, although I hear a lot of people liked the first, and a lot of people who liked the first say the second is looking good, and that's coming out in October 20th, just about a month. There's another Rune Factory titled Rune Factory 3. I don't know much about Rune Factory. It might be another one of those farming ones. Or it might be the one I was thinking of earlier with the Harvest Moon type game. Either way, that's coming out. There are a few more games coming to the Nintendo Switch expansion pack Nintendo 64 section of Nintendo Switch Online, including some Mario Party games, Pokemon Stadium games, 1080 snowboarding, Pilot Wings, and GoldenEye with online functionality. Now, I never bought the expansion pass, it just wasn't worth it to me. That's not true. I went to go and buy it on the first day I could, and then Nintendo's website didn't let me, and then I realized the next day, I don't actually want this, and so I never went back and bought it. I don't regret it at all. I don't even like the N64 that much. It's the console I never owned, and I think it hasn't aged as well as some of the others, having never played any of the games. But it is cool GoldenEye's back. That was stuck in licensing hell for a while there. It is also weird that the Switch you can play online, but the Xbox and Game Pass, which it's also going to be on, you cannot play online. And that is weird. Don't know how that worked out, but hey, for those who like the old first-person shooters that controlled poorly, you can play that now, as well as some other N64 games that controlled poorly. Various Day Life, which I'm guessing is another of the farming game, just launched yesterday. Factorio, a game I've heard a lot about. It's a management sim where you're on a planet and you just build factories and try to optimize said factories, is coming to Switch on October 28th. And for those of you who like those types of management sims, heck yeah, that looks great. Apparently a game called id was shown. I don't remember that at all. As far as DLC, Pauline and Diddy Kong are both coming to Mario Strikers, Mario Strikers Battle League, a game I never got but heard was if you weren't going to be into the multiplayer. Now, Atelier Ryza 3, I think, was announced, and it's launching February 24th. I've heard a lot of really good things about the Atelier Ryza series. I've also seen a lot of art of the main character, who I think is named Ryza. I never played them. Again, I don't have too much time for video games anymore, and all three of these I'm presumably going to be 80-hour RPGs, but they're good 80-hour RPGs if you got time for it. And this was probably the most exciting announcement for me up until the very end. Mario Kart 8's third DLC courses pack that is getting released with the weird pack that they're putting out. The first two courses were announced. Merry Mountain, which apparently is from Mario Kart Tour, a game I might start playing now that I can, starting in October, be able to just buy characters I want. And Peach's Garden from Mario Kart DS. I really liked that course in the DS. I liked a lot of the courses on the DS, so that was a big pop for me. Nothing else was announced. All we know is it's going to be coming during the holidays. So, I don't know, I love Mario Kart, I love being able to jump into new courses every once in a while, so I'm definitely going to jump into that when it comes out. Golf is also announced to be finally coming to Nintendo Switch Sports. That's coming in holiday this year as well. I haven't played Nintendo Switch Sports in a while. My sister every once in a while mentions, hey, we haven't played that in a while, and I should probably get back into that. It's fun with family. And golf is coming now, too. Then Miyamoto stepped out onto stage, talked about how the Mario movie is coming this spring. Also coming this spring is Nintendo World in Hollywood. And yes, I will be going as soon as I can financially and time off wise. I'm excited for both of those things, and I don't think the movie's going to be good, but I'm definitely going to watch it. I can't believe they made Chris Pratt Mario. And, oh man, the theme park looks so great from the few images I've seen from the Tokyo version. I cannot wait to go myself. It's going to be a near religious experience for me. I'm going to buy everything. I'm going to spend so much money at this stupid park. It's going to be great. Can't wait. He also started talking about Pikmin Bloom, a game that I played for like a week and then realized this game is not a game. It sucks and it's boring and there's nothing really to achieve other than to make the Pikmin number go up. And so I stopped playing it, deleted it off my phone. But they are finally coming out with a Pikmin 4. And so that was neat. I own one of the Pikmin games. I think it's 2 for the Wii. I never got around to playing it, although I did watch Let's Plays of both of the first 2 games. I didn't watch Let's Play of the third one because it was on the Wii U, so no one bought it. But Pikmin 4, apparently they're changing up a little bit, including camera angle. They said it's going to be easier to control, and I hope it's good. Maybe I'll even play it. There's a lot of games, but I like when Nintendo does this weird stuff, and Pikmin is another one of those weird things. I hope it turns out good. When is it coming out? Apparently, sometime next year. And that's pretty much all we know about it. Alright, Just Dance is coming out with another one. Harvestella, another farming game, I want to say. Oh no, a game about killing an evil winter. I don't know what that is. I don't remember it at all. But there's going to be a demo that'll transfer to the full game. Bayonetta 3 was also shown. Bayonetta is one of those game series that I want to love. I love the concept of it. But then I played Bayonetta 1, I think on the Wii U at the time, and I got bad. I think I only got about halfway through, probably less, and I just got stuck and I never went back to it. Even though I've purchased Bayo 1 and 2 on the Switch, and both on the Switch and the Wii U. Now this one was a weird one. A Danganronpa looking character guy showed up on screen, but it wasn't Danganronpa, and then it turned out to be by the people who made Danganronpa, and it's another game where you investigate murders, sort of like Danganronpa. It looks less visual novel-y, more of a exploration game, and I don't know, I'm a little anime exhausted, especially from Danganronpa characters, but that's mainly just from the internet. Hopefully it's good. Resident Evil 2, 3, and Village are all getting ported to Switch, but via their cloud option. So you have to be connected to the internet and you're streaming the game to the Switch, as well as the DLC for Village. And I think it's weird. I think it's cool that the Switch is able to do it. I think it's funny that, like, Capcom's done it a few times, I think, that enable to get games running on the Switch. They've just been like, nah, you gotta stream it. But it's neat that it's an available option. I, of course, don't like spooky games, so I won't be touching those with a 12-foot pole, but it's neat that they're there. Sifu is getting ported to Switch on the 8th, and much like the other ports on this game, it looks rough. Really rough. Like, this is not the version of the game I would be wanting to be playing, but also, where did we land on Sifu? Because it really, I didn't play it at first because of the weird cultural appropriation stuff with the main character being Asian but being developed by only white people. And I don't think anyone that ever got resolved, but I did hear a lot of good things, specifically from like the Kinda Funny crew. They seemed to really love the game, so I bet it's a good game, but I don't know if I personally can work past the just blatant cultural appropriation unapologetically. But it's coming to Switch now. It looks bad. I probably wouldn't want to play this version, but you can do it there. And another game that's also getting ported to Switch that looked a little bit rough, Crisis Core Reunion, the prequel to Final Fantasy VII, a game I probably will be playing because I liked 7 Remake quite a bit. It's coming to Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. I'll be picking up the PlayStation version probably, just so I can have a little more context to whatever the heck Final Fantasy VII Remake got going on at the end there. But it's coming to Switch too. I'm looking forward to that game. Now I looked at this one, and this one was like, oh, that actually looks real fun. Radiant Silvergun, which is a Saturn shoot-'em-up or shmup, released on Switch yesterday. Will I play it? Probably not, but it looked like a really good one, and looked fun. Endless Dungeon, a game Imran did not write anything more about, is also coming. I don't remember what it is at all. Tales of Symphonia, a game I've heard of a lot of good things, is coming to Switch next year, even though that this same port is on a bunch of other different consoles already. So if you only have a Switch, you'll be able to play the Tales of Symphonia remaster soon. If you don't, you can just kind of load it up on your PC or whatever. But that's there too. Then there was a sizzle reel where they announced Life is Strange Arcadia Bay, or didn't announce, just talked about it again. They talked about Romancing Saga Minstrel Song, which I don't know what that is. An interesting looking Lego game I probably won't pick up, and the Disney Kart Racer that is coming out soon, and Fall Guys, which Season 2 is coming out soon. Afterwards, they announced the Kirby Wii game is getting a remaster for the Switch. I never played the Wii game. I did watch a Let's Play of it, but my sister, who I played the newest Kirby game with, I bet it'll be fun playing that with her, so I'm definitely going to pick this up for sure. And then here's the good stuff. The one thing that made this Direct really worth it for me. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom not only got a release name, but a release date of May, 8 months away. Oh, I'm so excited. I love Breath of the Wild so much, and just even getting a little bit more Zelda news, I'm so excited for it. Speaking of, I want to analyze this trailer a little bit more. Alright, so opening up, the trailer starts out with this godlike creature. I think this is either a god, or it's going to wind up being the main antagonist of the game. Then it transfers to some bokoblins fighting people, similar stuff to what we saw in the actual Breath of the Wild game. The thing I found interesting was above this godlike creature there are 7 what I'm assuming, or presuming, to be the tiers in the title. There being 7 implies to me that this game is going to go back to the traditional 7 dungeons, where I'm guessing that Link is going to have to travel to all 7 different dungeons to collect said tiers. Then we see what seems to be a Zelda-type figure floating. And then, interestingly, that same Zelda figure is holding hands with someone. Now, at the start of the trailer, we don't know who that someone is, but at the very end, underneath the title, we actually see that Zelda is holding hands with that same godlike creature from earlier. What that means, I don't know yet, but I imagine we'll find out May 12th. Then we get into the actual gameplay. It looks really good. I thought that the floating portions were going to be more like the shrines from the original Breath of the Wild, but it really seems like they're doing a lot more with it. When there's a few shots where you just see a bunch of floating isles in the distance, and it really seems like it's going to be a big part. Probably more than just like the dungeon or shrine equivalents of this game. Plus, Link is getting a really cool manta ray hoverboard thing, which is going to be sick to play with, I hope, at least. Did I call Link Zelda somewhere in there? If so, pretend I did it on purpose. Anyway, then it's the Tears of the Kingdom. You see Zelda's holding hands with a godlike creature again. I'm really excited. Obviously, that's all we know. I'm sure other people have speculated a little bit more on what's actually going on, but I'm really loving the concept. I really hope exploration is still good. Although I really think, given that the 7 dungeon design is implied to be back, I'm guessing, that it's going to be more of a linear experience where Link has to travel to all 7 different dungeons. But either way, the combat is one of the best parts. I hope they're still able to put really fun things to incentivize exploration still. I'm really excited. I can't wait to play it. And that was it for the Nintendo Direct. Continuing on with Nintendo news, Splatoon sure seems to be selling well in Japan at least. Nintendo announced that Splatoon 3, in just the first few days, sold 3.45 million copies in Japan. Within 3 days, it says here, an article from Fanbyte written by Amelia Zollner. That's a lot. Nintendo said it's the highest domestic sales level for any Nintendo Switch software within the first 3 days. Animal Crossing New Horizons, which also sold incredibly well, only did 1.88 million copies. And I say only in quotes because that was the best-selling Switch game up until Splatoon 3 outsold its first 3 record. And which is to say, Splatoon 3 seems to be real popular. Now, will it keep up this trend? I hear it's not selling as well here in the States, but even then, it's clearly a very popular game, and I'm happy. I'm hoping that, given the popularity, they're able to continue supporting it much longer than Splatoon 2. Alright, on to Sony news. They also had a presentation to, well, middling results. Now, I shouldn't be too critical, given, like, in the Nintendo Direct, there was only a few things that interested me, and as a whole, I guess there were more things that interested me in the Sony Direct, but there was also, I don't know. Let's jump into what happened in the Sony, what do they call it? State of Play. Tekken 8 was shown off again. I'm not a fighting game guy, but Tekken 8's been going on for a long time, so shout out to Tekken fans. Then they talked about PSVR 2. Now, I've actually never used VR at all. And so when Sony does release PSVR 2 next spring, I think they've said, I'm going to try to pick one up if it's backwards compatible. I've already got a few PSVR games I got for free a year or so ago from Sony, and I want to be able to play them on the new one, but the way that they've done tracking has put questions into whether or not they'll be backwards compatible, and if it's not, I'm definitely going to hold off a little bit. I want to be able to play like the first Astro game, or Beat Saber, or others. But I'm at least interested in PSVR 2, especially because I, as the person who really likes video games, want to be able to try VR. That being said, at this one, they talked about a Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge Enhanced Edition. The game's already on Oculus, but I haven't sold my soul to the company that was once known as Facebook, or is now known as Meta. In fact, it's not. They shouldn't have even written it's called Oculus, it's the Meta Quest now. Either or, it's on there now if you've given all your information privacy forever to Meta. I don't, so I like Star Wars 2. Hondo's in it. I think I like Hondo. And then Daimyo, a card game that I'm not interested in, both coming to PSVR 2 probably when the game releases. They also announced Like a Dragon Ishin, the spin-off of the Yakuza series, which looks like it was originally a PS3 game and is being ported to the PS5. I've never actually played any of the Yakuza games, although I've heard great things about them. In fact, today they even just announced a few more Yakuza-type stuff going in, but I'm not the biggest fan, so I didn't pull that news story. Anyway, it looked cool. It looked silly. And that is the two main descriptors of the Yakuza series, so it looks good. And then my screen went black a little bit. I think someone mentioned racist wizards and a turf rider who gets money off of her racist wizard property, but the stream I was also watching Waypoint for this. It went dark here. The hosts were still there, but the Sony stream went dark, so I don't know anything about the racist wizard whatever, and I don't care about it either. Alright, then we got into the point where it's kind of like, oh, what's even happening anymore? There's an interesting game, Pacific Drive, where it looks like you're a storm chaser, except for extraterrestrial phenomena. A debut game from Ironwood Studios. I don't know, it looked interesting, at least. Then Sony talked about their loyalty program, which I guess I'll do, but I don't really care about. I'm not a biggest Sony guy. I only got a PS4 and a Vita, and I barely touched either of those. And so any of the stuff like they're showing a picture of one of the Ape Escape monkeys, I don't have any nostalgia for any Sony stuff, so saying, hey, you can earn Sony nostalgia stuff is saying nothing to me personally, but I mean, I guess I'll sign up, and if I get them, I get them. Then there was a mech combat game, Synduality, and it looked interesting, fast-paced mech adventure game with an anime protagonist. I got turned off a little bit when it seemed like you were controlling an anime girl, and then it zoomed out and seemed like she was actually talking to the main protagonist, who is yet another main anime boy protagonist with the same somewhat long, straight black hair. I'm tired of anime. I'm especially tired of the generic anime protagonist. And so if that boring boy winds up being the main character, then it turns me off entirely. And then Project Eve was talked about, which I don't remember. I think it was an anime-looking action game. Oh, it was originally called Project Eve. Now it's been named Stellar Blade. Apparently it's like a post-apocalypse type thing. Looks interesting. Then this was probably the most interesting thing from the Sony State of Play. Team Ninja is coming out with Rise of the Ronin, which is an action open-world game. They originally did the Nioh games, which were Dark Souls-like in combat, and I heard really good things about them. And their action open world looks a bit more like a more action-y Ghost of Tsushima, which combined with one from the Jeff Keighley presentation last week or the week before, we're getting some good, actually Japanese-made Ghost of Tsushima type games, and I'm all for it. They look really fun. And then they closed the show with God of War Ragnarok, first showing a controller, which, I don't know, I guess it looks fine. It's weird that they seem to make a little bit too big of a deal of the controller, but luckily, after the controller, they did roll into a story trailer. And I'm gonna play the game. I'll probably buy it day one. I won't pre-order it, of course, but I'll buy it. I'll play it. I'll 100% complete it because that's the person who I am. But I don't know. The trailer didn't make me more excited. There were some interesting moments. I saw there's a moment where Kratos and Thor are fighting, and I saw someone tweet out that they were like super excited by that moment, and I just thought, I don't know. That moment looked cool. Hopefully it's better in context. I'm not a trailer person, is the main takeaway. That is the main thing. And so what I took away from the trailer, it's gonna be more. And more God of War is what I wanted. I liked the first game quite a bit, and we're getting more. I don't really need to be sold any more than that, but I guess other people like watching trailers for things. And oh my gosh, that was it for Sony news. But that wasn't the only presentation. Speaking of middling to poor results, Disney also did one of these. Now, I wasn't actually going to watch the Disney one because I don't like Disney that much. I think they're an evil corporation and they own way too many properties. But Kinda Funny's Blessing Adeyoye Jr. was the host, and I like Blessing a lot, and so I wanted to see how his hosting was. As such, I also watched the Kinda Funny restream of this, and I was only able to watch part of it because a work thing came up partway through, and so I didn't watch the last couple announcements, but also, as I'll get into in just a second, they're barely announcements anyway. Anyway, we'll start out, they're putting out a Tron game. It's by Bithell Games. Now, Mike Bithell is the person who made, Thomas Was Alone, which is a little indie 2D platformer that I still want to get back to. I have it on Steam. The team made John Wick Hex, which I've heard fairly good things about. The Solitaire Conspiracy, which is a game I do want to get to eventually. I heard good things about that, as well as some other stuff. Now, nothing really is known about the game Tron Identity, but it's coming out. Then there's a 4-player co-op games featuring Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and Goofy. I'm not interested at all. Apparently it's coming to the Nintendo Switch, I guess. Marvel Midnight Suns, which is a Firaxis game featuring Marvel characters. And when I say I don't like Disney, I'm also really tired of Marvel at this point. Superhero fatigue to the max. So I don't care about Marvel Midnight Suns either, but that got a release date for December 2nd, and they're putting out shorts to, I guess, describe the story starting October 31st. Then it was a mobile game called Marvel Strike Force, which I couldn't care any less about. A free-to-play game called Marvel Snap, which I don't remember at this point. Really stuck with me, that one. Aliens Dark Descent, which is an Aliens-based tactics game. It's weird they still keep trying to make Aliens games, even though most of them suck. Hopefully this one doesn't. Another look at the Ubisoft Avatar game, not Avatar The Last Airbender, The Blue Guys. I don't remember this trailer. Hopefully it'll be fine. It's always weird to me when I see... It was really weird to me when I saw Return to Monkey Island was in this Disney presentation. It was shocking at first. This doesn't sound like something Disney would put out, until I remembered Disney bought Lucasfilms and LucasArts, and the original Monkey Island was put out by LucasArts, and so now, of course, Disney is putting it out. I don't know, that game's coming out really soon, in 5 days from when this releases, and so I hope it's good. It was just weird watching, this big Disney thing talking about it. Speaking of Disney putting out a weird thing, the Gargoyles game is getting remastered. Apparently it's a Genesis game. I don't know anything about it, but it's, again, I said earlier that I like when games are remastered and put out so newer audiences are able to look at it, at least become aware of it, whether or not they buy it or pirate it. That's not up to me, but I guess it's interesting. And then another mobile game I don't care anything about. Then the Disney Kart Racer, Disney Speedstorm I talked about. I don't care about it again. I've got Mario Kart, that's enough for me, but they talked a little more about that. Disney Dreamlight Valley, which is out already, and it seems to be a Stardew / Animal Crossing but with Disney characters. Again, I don't like Disney, don't care about it. Avatar Reckoning, a mobile MMORPG shooter set in the Avatar world? I guess this is the first one I missed. A mobile game, so I'm not going to play it, and an Avatar game, so I'm not going to play it, and an MMORPG shooter, so I'm not going to play it. Again, nothing interesting to me about that game, but they announced it. And then here's the thing. Skydance Games, which is led by Amy Hennig, announced the Marvel game they're working on, which is going to take place during World War II and feature Captain America, T'Chaka, which is T'Challa's dad, so the earlier Black Panther, and a couple other people. And so here's the thing. Every once in a while, I look up Amy Hennig's games that she's worked on. Now, I always hear great things about Amy Hennig, and that it's so terrible that the past 3 or 4 projects she was going to work on got cancelled. And I was with them for a while, having not played any of her previous work, but then I looked it up, and it's just a bunch of games I have no real interest in, and it kind of makes me not interested in her new game. I don't understand why I should be excited for her work when none of her work in the past has interested me in any way. But a lot of people talk her up as being a great writer, and maybe she'll be able to put a spin on these Marvel characters, but I don't think so. It's just gonna be these Marvel characters again, and so another Marvel game, yay. And then their last one, I also didn't see this. I didn't see any of these last three. They're putting out a phone Marvel game by Niantic. Now, based off of Niantic's previous two games, the Harry Potter, or the Racist Wizard game, and the Pikmin game. Both of those aren't good. The Pikmin game sucked, and the Racist Wizard one flopped hard. And I'm not excited for the Marvel one at all. And that was it. That was what they did in the Disney Showcase. If I were to rank these, I would probably rank it Nintendo, Sony, Disney, but honestly, none of them were all that great. Disney's was by far the worst, though. I don't know why they wanted to do this. I guess because they were doing a bunch of other stuff with their movies and TV at the time. If we want to talk about the Star Wars shows coming out, I'm excited for a lot of those, but that's just because I'm unfortunately a Star Wars fan. It's a problem. I don't like Disney, but I do really like Star Wars. And that is it for the news. On to what I've been doing. Okay, for real this time, I 100% completed and am finished playing Horizon Zero Dawn. I 100% completed the game via trophies, then I got all the outfits and side quests to 100% complete the game, and then I did the same for the DLC, and then I went through and collected all the audio and text logs, and then I did the same for the DLC, although I missed one in the DLC, which was unfortunate. And then I even went back and did a New Game Plus on Ultra Hard playthrough just to get those last two trophies. But I finally did it, and I'm done. And playing through Horizon Zero Dawn has really made me appreciate Ghost of Tsushima a lot more. The gameplay verbs that you have in Tsushima are just so much more fun than in Horizon, and having really only played two of these types of games at this point, I really understand why people were praising Tsushima so much, because compared to other not overly dense, but overly bloated open world type games, Tsushima is just so much more fun to play than Zero Dawn. I even then went back and played Ghost of Tsushima a little bit. I was about 1/3 of the way through the game, a little bit less, and I had one more achievement that I could get single player, to finish a New Game Plus playthrough of Ghost of Tsushima, and then I just did that over the past couple days. I just finished last night, and it's a good game. It took me a little bit to get used to the controls again, but it's just so fun to play. It's fun to sneak around, and it's fun to use the sword. And there's a lot less standing around and listening to people talk to the main character. At least when they do that in Tsushima, you're at least going somewhere. For the most part. And also, Splatoon 3 is pretty good. I haven't played too much of it, only a few matches, but I'm enjoying my time so far, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm excited for the Splatfest coming up in just a couple of weeks now. And that is it for the extra beefy podcast this week. So much news earlier on, I'm just going to go ahead and close it. Thank you for listening. If you can follow me on the aforementioned social medias, links are also in the show notes for every news article I talked about and for all my social media. Follow me if you'd like, rank the episode if you'd like, and sub if you'd like more. I've been Mario 8th. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.